Hello, I'm John McBride. Thank you for joining me today to talk about Koyasan. Koyasan is sacred land settled by the Buddhist priest Kukai, known posthumously as Kobo Daishi, during the Heian period in 819 CE, over 1200 years ago. Koyasan is the center of the Shingon Mikkyo sect of esoteric Buddhism. The head temple of the sect is called Koyasan Kongo Buji Temple and is located in the center of the Koyasan settlement. Now, I've explored Koyasan using two early works of literature. The first is the illustrated biography of the holy man Ippen from 1299 in 12 scrolls. Ippen visits Koyasan in 1274 at the age of 36, and this is depicted in scroll 2. And I've also used the early modern illustrated guide to the famous places of the key domain. Volume 3 and 4 have large sections devoted to Koyasan. They were published in 1838 and 1851, respectively. So allow me to share my screen. So today I deal with location and then introduce 4 walks to and around Koyasan. And then I'll briefly introduce the treasure hall, the Reiho Kan Museum, and talk about temple stays. First, to briefly introduce the literature I've just mentioned, the Ki no Kuni Meishōzue is a wonderful guide to Koyasan. It includes aerial views of Koyasan and much more detail I'll present shortly. And Ippen's illustrated biography depicts Koyasan much as we see today. Ippen is depicted here in front of the Mie door. The main hall is to the left. And the Kompon Daito, the basic great pagoda. According to Shingon Buddhist doctrine, the pagoda is the central point of a mandala covering all of Japan. It's an esoteric belly button for Japan. Ippen also visits the Okunoin Mausoleum of Kobo Daishi, as we will shortly. One original scroll of the 12, which were produced 10 years after Ippen's death in 1299 by his disciple Shokai, is held by the Tokyo National Museum. Many copies have been made since, but the museum's website has a wonderful digital image of the scroll. Location. Koyasan is located about 2 hours south of Osaka. It is an 800-meter high basin surrounded by 8 peaks, all more or less 1,000 meters high. As I mentioned, Koyasan is the mountain name of Kongo Buji Temple, as required in the Chinese practice of naming temples by the mountain upon which they are located. However, in our case, there is no mountain called Koyasan. There is one called Koyasan, the short Ko. Koyasan is rather this overall basin area surrounded by 8 peaks, collectively referred to as Koyasan. The 8 peaks are Bentendake, Imaki-mine, Horseshoe-mine, Koyasan, the first of the 3 formal sacred mountains of Koyasan, which include Manisan and Yoryu-san, the sacred trinity, Tenjiku-san and Hachibuse-yama. Koyasan is confusing because Koyasan is a different name using different Chinese characters to Koyasan, the long O. These peaks are all joined by the Nyoninmichi, the women's pilgrimage trail, which we'll walk in a moment. The Nankai Express takes us just 90 minutes to travel from Namba Station in Osaka up to the Gokurakubashi Station. It's also possible to change at Hashimoto Station to a smaller local train, which winds its way up the mountain, stopping at an important station, Kudoyama, where we will visit in a moment on the Choishimichi walk. The area is known for its persimmon farms. In late autumn, vast quantities of the astringent persimmon are harvested and dried. The journey is completed with a 5-minute cable car journey followed by a bus ride or walk into the main temple area. An excellent resource is the Nankai Railway Company's English language Koyasan website. Our first walk is the Choishimichi, the formal approach to Koyasan. This requires alighting at Kudoyama Station off the local train, having just changed at Hashimoto off the Nankai Express. It is a 23.45-kilometer walk from Kudoyama Station to Koyasan, requiring about 7 hours. The name comes from the way being lined every cho, or 109 meters, with a stone stele marker. The Choishimichi Trail was ordered in 1265 and took 20 years to build. 80% of the Choishi stele markers survive from this time. Jisoin Temple was built by Kukai as the front entrance to Koyasan. It was also a place where winter ascetic practices could be conducted. And in 835, Kukai's mother died here. For this reason, it is known as the Women's Koya. The main structures were destroyed by fire and replaced in 1624, which is the date of this Tahoto pagoda. The pagoda was completely refurbished and repainted, which is this one here in 2012. Kukai traveled the 24 kilometers from Koyasan 9 times a year to visit his mother, hence the name Kudoyama, or 9 times mountain. The temple is steeped in devotion to mothers. Disonin is depicted in our guide from 1838, and the Tahoto at the bottom of the steps is clearly visible. And you can see the steps in the left here. The head priest, Annen Sama, explains that years ago, a doctor prayed for his breast cancer patient, and since then the temple's amulets are related to breast health. There are 180 stele markers, or choishi, and number 180 marks the start of the walk at Jisoin Temple in Kudoyama, located just by the Torii Gate of the new Kanshofu Shrine, built by Kukai as the trailhead for the walk to Koyasan. The trail continues up to the ridgeline, remembering that the choishi are placed every 109 meters and count you down to number 1 at Koyasan. There are fine autumn views back towards Hashimoto and at night, and of the surrounding countryside. Another access point is Kamikosawa Station. It cuts off about 3.2 kilometers from the walk, making it a 20-kilometer day. The small station of Kamikosawa is manned, and the station master is always happy to indicate where the trailhead starts, up on the ridgeline. The 2.9-kilometer climb up from the station is steep and comes out at Choishi number 124. Shortly after joining the main Choishimichi, the trail passes dual torii gates originally built by Kukai. They are the entrances to 2 shrines, Nyutsuhime and Koya Myojin. This is the Nyutsuhime shrine, founded over 1700 years ago by Grand Priest Gyosho. The main worship hall was donated by Hojo Masako in the Kamakura period, in the 13th century. The Jizo Hall is where pilgrims would rest, and the enshrined deities are from Kehi and Itsukushima. The shrine is depicted in the illustrated guide to the Ki domain. It is also referred to as the Amanosha. The drum bridge in front of the shrine is clear, as is a courtly dance and music performance as a gift to the deities. The guide also depicts priest Kukai being visited by Niutsuhime in the myth of how Kukai was allocated this land. In fact, Kukai used these lands as a source of cinnabar, a mercuric sulfide, to finance the construction of Koyasan. And the shrine was originally located close to the center of Koya Township. The trail continues, this is number 118, through forests of cypress and cedar, eventually entering Koyasan at Daimon, the main gate to Koyasan. This version of the gate was rebuilt in 1705. The gate is coated in vermilion, which is a red earth pigment containing cinnabar or minium, which was mined at the site we just passed. The Kongo Rikshi or Nyozo guardians on each side were carved in 1696. On the left is Ungyo with his closed mouth symbolizing or half of the sound Om, the last sound of the universe, used in meditation at Koyasan. Carved by the Kyoto-based sculptor Uncho, very famous sculptor. And on the right is the opened-mouthed form Agyo by Kyoto sculptor Koi. Our destination is in front of the Danjogaran at Choishi number 1, in front of the main pagoda. The pagoda represents the center of the lotus flower created by the 8 peaks that surround Koyasan. Our second walk is the Nyoninmichi, the women's pilgrimage route. This pilgrimage route is 16 kilometers in length and takes about 5.5 hours around Koyasan. Traditionally, women were not allowed to enter the precincts of Koyasan. This barrier to women was removed nationally on 27 March 1872. However, Koyasan continued the ban until the brave Miss Ichino Kayano protested the ban and sat in the center of Koyasan until the priests reneged on 14 August 1879. Good on Ichino-san. There were 7 entrances to Koyasan where women could come to pay their respects from a distance. The 7 valley entrances are linked by this challenging pilgrimage route. Each entrance had a hall where women could pray and acted as markers for how far women could enter. One of these halls remains at the Fudo-zaka approach. It is called the Nyonin-do. It is easily reached by bus from the top cable car station, which is called Koyasan. The Nyoninmichi trailhead is across the street from Nyonin-do and first climbs up to Benten-dake Peak and then down through the many torii gates to Daimon. Passing Daimon Gate, the trail continues up to Rokuro Kubi Pass with good views inside and outside of the Lotus Petal Basin. The view inside the basin from Rokuro Kubi Pass is depicted in our illustrated guide. The trail continues towards the Okunoin Cemetery, passing the approach paths from Kumano on the Kohechi Trail at the bottom there, and the Omine Okugake Michi Trail. And then up to the formal 3 sacred mountains of Koyasan, Mount Koya, Mount Mani, and Mount Yoryu, around the Kuroko Path and Pass. Our next walk is to the Okunoin, or Inner Sanctum, and Mausoleum of Kobo Daishi. I suggest a relaxed, slow visit during the day and a repeat visit at night. The Nyoninmichi passes close by the entrance to the Okunoin at the Ichinohashi, or first bridge to the Okunoin. It's about 2 kilometers from here to Okunoin and Kobo Daishi's mausoleum. The Okunoin contains around 200,000 graves, including many famous Japanese warrior families. The graves are marked by gorinto, 5 ringed towers, used by Shingon since the 10th century for funerary purposes. The 5 shapes are symbolic of the 5 elements: earth, a cube; water, a sphere; fire, a pyramid; air is a hemisphere; and a jewel shape, which is interpreted as a void or ether, or I prefer the crystal clear clarity of Buddha's consciousness. Some of the graves have stone torii gates, an indication of the past syncretic nature of Buddhism and Shinto in early modern Japan. Along with the famous, there are memorials to deceased persons who no longer have survivors, people with no one left to mourn them. You'll see many Jizo statues with bibs and bonnets. Jizo was a bodhisattva who assisted deceased children to cross the river to the afterlife. This fascinating cemetery walk culminates at the Gobyo-bashi Bridge, the last of 3 river crossings. The 3 river crossings represent the Sanzu no Kawa, or the River of 3 Crossings, a mythological river in Japanese Buddhist tradition. Before reaching the afterlife, souls of the deceased must cross the river by one of 3 crossing points: a bridge, a fjord, or a stretch of deep, snake-infested waters. The weight of one's offences while alive determines which path an individual must take. It is believed that a toll of 6 mon, or 6 copper coins, must be paid before a soul can cross the river, a belief reflected in Japanese funerals, where the necessary fee is placed in the coffin. Visitors are asked to take their hats off at the bridge and continue with a respectful heart, and cameras are banned, or photographs are banned beyond this point. By the side of the bridge, there is a small hut with a stone inside, which is said to weigh that of your sins. Visitors attempt to lift it up onto the top shelf. Don't worry, most fail. The rock called the Miroku stone is also popular in a sweet form. Miroku stone cakes are the traditional souvenir to purchase from Koyasan. Next, one enters the Okunoin proper, where prayers are conducted for kukai and where lanterns are gifted. A lantern has remained lit since kukai went into a state of perpetual meditation. 2 lanterns have been lit for nearly 1,000 years: Emperor Shirakawa's lantern and Priest Joyo's lantern, the Kishin lantern, both gifted in the 11th century. Emperor Shirakawa's was gifted in 1088. Over 30,000 lanterns have been donated since. At 6 a.m. and 10:30 a.m., priests prepare food to be ritually presented to Kobo Daishi in a ceremony known as Shojingu, one of hundreds of ceremonies undertaken at Koyasan annually. The Shojingu has occurred twice daily for over 1,200 years. May I recommend a hushed visit to the Okunoin at night on your own, or perhaps with a night tour organized by Ekoin Temple. This is the Shukubo closest to the Okunoin area. Next, we visit the Danjogaran area of Koyasan. Danjogaran translates as an altar for the temples. It is a flat area at the center of Koyasan with a number of important sites. The surrounding mountains represent the 8 petals of the lotus flower, with the Danjogaran as the center of the flower. Alongside the Okunoin, it is one of 2 of the most sacred sites at Koyasan. and was depicted in great detail in our illustrated guide. The focal point is the kondo, the main hall of worship. The miedo, which venerates an image of Kukai, and the two-storied vermilion pagoda, Kompon Daito. The Garan is where priests gather to undertake strict practices with the goal of achieving enlightenment. It is a space created by Kukai to keep out evil and distraction. The buildings have been destroyed by fire over the centuries and replaced. However, the Fudo Hall is original, dating to 1198, or the late Kamakura period, and is a national treasure. And the Western Pagoda is an important cultural asset. It is not covered in vermilion lacquer, and the joinery is magnificent and clearly visible. It represents the Diamond Realm mandala. The most recent addition is the 2015 Chumon Gate, protective of the entire Danjogaran area. Originally built in 819, it was destroyed by fire many times, the last being in 1843, and was not replaced until the 1200th anniversary of the founding of Koyasan in 2015. Two of the four heavenly kings were sculpted in 2015 for the main gate, Zocho-ten on the right with his sword, and Kormok-ten on the left with his divine eye. And in Japan, he's depicted with a brush and scroll. The two other heavenly kings were sculpted in 1819 and survived the fire of 1843 and are kept safely in the West Pagoda and the Kompon Daito Pagoda. Visitors pray at the monuments, traveling clockwise with the main hall at your right shoulder, linked to the purification rituals of the right hand in India. Priests also follow this order, praying in front of each monument. The miedo, where an image of Kukai was placed by his disciples following his entering a state of perpetual meditation, dates to 1848. The doors are opened to the public every 22 March after a food presentation ceremony the night before. The 21st of March is the day Kobo Daishi entered a state of perpetual meditation. All images of Kukai or Kobo Daishi are based on the image kept here. The young Kukai traveled to China in 804 and was anointed to lead esoteric Buddhism in Japan after being initiated into the faith by priest Hui Guo at a monastery in Xi'an. Hui Guo immediately recognized Kukai's brilliance. A pine tree in the Danjogaran is said to be where Kukai's Vajra landed after he threw it towards Japan at the end of his training in China. It is said Kukai found the Vajra glowing here and knew this is where he should build his center of esoteric training. The Vajra is a legendary and ritualistic tool symbolizing the properties of the indestructibility of a diamond and the irresistible force of a thunderbolt. Finally, we reach the Kompon Daito, representing the womb realm mandala. Inside, the cosmic Buddha, Dainichi Nyorai of the womb realm, is surrounded by four Buddhas and complementary columns of 16 bodhisattvas, or Buddhist saints. Looking down from above, it appears as this top womb realm mandala, and the West Pagoda represents the bottom diamond realm mandala. The womb realm represents the world of physical phenomenon and brings together the pantheon of Buddhas and relationships to each other. It represents the Kumano area of temples. The diamond realm represents the transcendental world of the Buddha. It is static, crystal clear, and is the truth of the universe. When these two come together, we achieve efficacy in the rites performed in front of them, such as the daily prayers of the priests and the pilgrims. Departing the Danjogaran towards Kongo-Buji Temple, we might hear the large temple bell rung 6 times a day. It is the 4th largest temple bell in Japan. We approach Kongo-Buji Temple. The temple is the headquarters of the Shingon sect in Japan. One of its rooms is the Willow Room, where the nephew of Toyotomi Hideyoshi, Japan's great unifying leader, was forced to commit suicide on 15 July 1595. Its rear courtyard garden, Banryū-te, is well regarded. The rocks represent 2 dragons emerging from a sea of clouds, charged with protecting the temple. The stones were imported from Shikoku, where Kukai was born. The white gravel is very beautiful and from Shirakawa in Kyoto. It is a recent construction dating from 1984. Don't forget to visit the Reiho-kan Museum, the treasure storehouse of the temple. It is tucked away down a quiet side street. It stores all Koyasan's treasures, 78,000 cultural items. Its website provides an excellent introduction to the cultural properties and their meanings. Look out for the new privately owned virtual museum as well. We conclude with a discussion about shukubo, or pilgrims' lodgings. There are 117 sub-temples at Koyasan, and 52 of these provide shukubo, or pilgrims' lodgings. A couple of them include Fumon-in, Fugen-in, Mukoryo-in, with the German priest who is delighted to talk about his faith. Very generous gentleman. My favorite is Fukuchi-in, with a garden designed by Shigemori Mirei, Japan's famous 20th century landscape artist. Fukuchi-in is also the only temple lodging with a onsen hot spring bath, and that's why I love to stay at this temple. And on this occasion, I was guiding and lecturing a group of artists from Japan, Australia, and Italy. And Ekoin, which I mentioned previously, closest to the Okunoin, and they provide the night tour of the Okunoin in English. The temples all provide delicious Shojin Buddhist vegetarian food. All have their own take on this meal. And some provide the opportunity to undertake Ajikan meditation. This group are at Ekoin in the afternoon, and this priest is providing a session at the headquarters, Kongo-Buji, in the morning. Some provide the opportunity to copy out the Heart Sutra, and all have prayers offered in the early morning, followed by the wonderful Goma Taki fire ceremony. Now, Goma Taki is performed in front of the statue of Fudomyo, or the immovable guardian king, who is enticed to enter the fire through the burning of incense, aromatic oils, grains, and beautiful timbers. Our wishes, which are written on the votive tablets, then return with him as he rises up with the smoke. Thank you. As always, I'd be very grateful if you could subscribe to my channel, John McBride's Great Walks of Japan, and the thumbs up is always appreciated, and any comments I always reply to. Thank you so much.